And to discuss the ongoing events in Peru in the wake of the June 6 presidential runoff and the wait for the official proclamation of the new president of the country, we now welcome Jose Carlos Llerena Robles, a member of the Peruvian political organization La Junta and representative of the Peruvian chapter of Alba Movimientos, a platform for regional social movements. Jose, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you, all of you, for the interest in what is happening in Peru right now.
Jose, a month has passed since the elections in Peru, and yet the next president has still not been announced. What's the delay?
Well, the delay is related with two categories that are ongoing right now in Peru. One is the lawfare, an electoral and racist and colonial lawfare executed by Keiko Fujimori on behalf of the Peruvian oligarchy, in order to invalid the votes of millions of indigenous people around the country who vote for Pedro Castillo proposal. That's one category that explains the delay, because Keiko Fujimori have submit thousands of challenge in order to delay the process, the electoral process, and delay the proclamation of Pedro Castillo, that everybody here in Peru and around the world recognize him as the Peruvian president for the period of 2021 to 2026. And the other category is that this lawfare tactic is a component within a strategy of coup that is ongoing right now in Peru. However, the question is, when is it going to be achieved by the Peruvian oligarchy here?
Jose, you mentioned there a coup. There have been revelations regarding the moves for a coup against Castillo. Some revelations about audio recordings. What can you tell us about this?
Well, last week there were released some phone calls, where Vladimiro Montesinos, a former chief of the Peruvian intelligence service, was trying to help Keiko Fujimori to prevail over the winning of Pedro Castillo. And we think that this disclose of phone calls made by Vladimiro Montesinos, who is in jail, show or demonstrate three resolutions. The first one is what I said. We are in the middle of a coup. The coup is ongoing. They are going to try to delegitimate the government of Pedro Castillo. The second one is that this coup is executed under unconventional warfare approach. This is said by Vladimiro Montesinos. And then the third conclusion is that this kind of coup here in Latin America needs and requires the intervention of the US, because in this audio, Vladimiro Montesinos said and proposed a specific tactic, that is to go to the US Embassy here in Peru in order to help to build the narrative of electoral fraud. And also he proposed to pay a bribe to the three members of the electoral jury authority here in Peru, to pay $1 million to each one, in order to, for example, extend the deadline for purposes that Keiko Fujimori can submit many more challenges in order to invalid the votes of the people here in Peru.
Jose, at the same time, the Peruvian Congress is also making its moves to try and name new members of the Constitutional Court. What does this have to do with the incoming presidential term of Pedro Castillo?
Well, it's very close related with this, because what they are trying to do is fast track and express process of selection of the members of the Peruvian Constitutional Court. In our law regime, this court have the main importance in our law tradition. For example, they are trying to select members with a profile that helps, for example, to propose or carry out a vacancy measure in order to vacate Pedro Castillo president, for example, related with some lawfare scheme that are right now executed against leaders and grassroots militants of Peru Libre, the political party of Pedro Castillo. But also this kind of fast track or express selection process is related to guarantee that some specific but very strategic rules can be achieved even in a government of Pedro Castillo. For example, right now the Congress is trying to approve a law that promotes the paramilitarism here in Peru, like in Colombia, and violating, for example, the jurisdiction of the peasant patrol here in Peru, as we know, the Rondas Campesinas. For such reason, they are the Peruvian oligarchy is afraid, and they are trying to guarantee not only to have the tools to make a coup later to Pedro Castillo, but also to set the conditions to their neoliberal rules, as they have been doing this for 2,000 years.
Jose, the supporters of Pedro Castillo are mobilizing. They called for a national strike this Tuesday. Do they have the strength to stop this slow-motion coup?
Well, I think that it's important to see and to analyze the national strike executed today in Peru in a process approach, because people here in Peru, the people who vote for Pedro Castillo, are mobilizing, are on protest in front of the electoral authorities since June 6th. It's not only today, it's since June 6th. But today there have been a very large mobilization that showed that the strength that the Peruvian people demonstrated since June 6th is still ongoing, still with all the forces in order to demand the immediate proclamation of Pedro Castillo. But also it is important to point that the national strike celebrated today with thousands of people in a rally, for example, in Lima, is not only of Pedro Castillo voters, is from a wide platform of social movement, popular movement, and democratic movement that, for all what I said before, are aware that we are in the middle of a coup, an anti-democratic strategy executed by Keiko Fujimori on behalf of the Peruvian oligarchy, and the Peruvian people have to say, stop this, no coup in Peru, no more lawfare here in Peru, and demand the immediate proclamation of Pedro Castillo.
A very clear message there to end. Jose Carlos Llerena Robles, who's a member of the Peruvian political organization La Junta. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for offering that valuable insight into the ongoing struggle for democracy in Peru. Thank you.
Thank you.